So this is the Mammoth Cave ferry crossing, and I have got a backcountry pass to just check out the trails in the back area here and possibly stay the night. But in order to do so, you need to take the ferry across the river crossing here, so that's what I'm in line for now. That's kind of neat. It's a free service that they offer to get across the river. Alright, so here we go. And I am actually probably at one of the furthest points in here, all the way out where the other ferry crossing was, but they no longer do a ferry crossing at the other spot. So I'm pretty much at the end of this road, which is probably, I would guess, 5 or 6 miles in. Get to this particular spot, you end up driving outside of the park and then back into it, and this is, like I might have mentioned earlier, the old ferry road, but it should be probably another quarter mile to a half mile down this road, and that's where the parking spot is, and then the camp spot is about, I don't know, less than half a mile walk in. The one that I picked. So there aren't any bears in this area from what I've been told. I don't want to set up a tent or anything like that. I may try to set up my hammock and maybe hammock camp. Not a real big fan of that. I haven't decided yet. Otherwise, I'm just going to come back and sleep inside this thing. It might be frowned upon, but I don't know. I'll have to make that decision later on tonight. So here's the trailhead, and actually it's about 1.5 to 2 miles to the campsite that I'm at, but looking at these parking spots, they're actually pretty nice. They like each section has like a pull-off like this here, where you can just park and chill out, which is probably what I'm gonna do, but I think I'm gonna back into this one and kind of call it home for most of the time that I'm here. So I am at the Temple Hill Trailhead, and it is in the Mammoth Cave National Park. It's at the end of the ferry that doesn't operate anymore, and it's a pretty nice spot. There's a couple of porta potties there. I've already looked inside. They're not horrible as far as cleanliness, but they also haven't been cleaned out in a while, so it would be better to go out there, in my opinion, or worth driving out of here and find something else. But the two trailheads are that way. So I'm just going to grab my bag and a hammock, and if I like it, I'll stay. If I don't, I'm going to come back here and sleep in the Jeep. I'm the only one here. I don't know if it's frowned upon or not. Probably is, but I'm not going to do anything other than just sleep in it. I'm not going to set up any campfires, but it does look like there's a campfire ring back here. But I'm not going to do anything out of the ordinary that would piss them off. So I'll make that decision when I see the spot, and hammock sleeping isn't exactly my thing. I usually have a hard time sleeping. They say there's no bears in the area, so nothing that I need to worry about, and I don't feel like getting out my tent and hauling it out there. So again, I'll decide as I go, but I'm the only one here. It's pretty nice. It's beautiful weather and the breeze is great. So I've already asked to stay here 2 nights, and I'll make a decision tomorrow whether or not I want to clear out of here or just stay and settle down for a little bit. I'm trying to get in the mindset of not constantly having to be somewhere or feel like I'm doing something or driving somewhere. It's been probably over a week since I've stayed anywhere more than 2 nights in the same location, I think. So trying to chill out a bit more. I don't have anywhere to be for another 10 days, so I really don't know if I'm missing anything or not, so why not just chill out here and figure out my next move. So I'm about, I don't know, half a mile, 3/4 of a mile in, and it's a nice quiet walk. It's quite a few bugs that are kind of annoying, and I left my mosquito thing back at the Jeep, so that's gonna do me no good back there, but it is a nice walk nonetheless through some Kentucky woods. So here's the entrance to the First Creek campsite. That's kind of what it overlooks. Looks like the water level's kind of down a bit. It's still pretty cool. All right, so I don't know if I was A or B, but I don't think I'm gonna have any guests tonight if I decide to stay. But it is a nice spot. Got the actual fire pit there. Spot to set up the tent there. And then down here, and with the sun going down, I'm walking through so many spider, not webs, but just strings of spider web. And here's where it opens up to. So it's kind of a mud pit more than anything, kind of like a pond, but still cool nonetheless. I imagine the mosquitoes in this area are gonna get really bad for the summer. And I forgot again my mosquito repeller, so don't think I'm gonna be staying here for that reason. I'm not sure. If you're with a group of people, this is a pretty nice setup. So you got the pad there. Someone put a tree branch across a couple of logs. Got some logs and rocks to sit on around the campfire. And being that you're this far out in the woods, there's plenty of firewood, I'm sure, to find and burn. So pretty neat little spot. So I just had an MRE for dinner. And I am actually heading out. I am getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, which I knew I would once I got down here. I wasn't thinking. But if the mosquitoes are this bad, I noticed that the bugs are already pretty bad in West Virginia, and they're really bad here in Kentucky. But if they're this bad in April, I can only imagine what they're going to be like in the summer. Last year, when my brother-in-law and I went to South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana, we could barely stand outside at night, and even around the fire, it was just a nightmare with the bugs. So I'm guessing this year's probably not going to be too much different. I'll have to wait and see, but it'll just mean a lot of nights wherever I camp, I'll just be spending most of them inside my Jeep and away from the bugs, unless my mosquito repeller really works well, but not looking forward to that part. So it got kind of dark on the way back. Actually, the camera makes it look darker than it really is. You can sort of see through the leaves. There's still light up there, but down here under the canopy and amongst all of the weeds and everything else, it's pretty dark walking, but the trail's clearly marked. Got these blue markers everywhere. It's a pretty open path in most places, so not too worried about it. I could always just set up wherever if I strayed off, so keep that in mind also when I'm hiking out alone. So try to be prepared as much as I can. Can you hear that? I don't know what that bird is, but it is really loud, and it is non-stop sometimes, and they usually start at about 5 o'clock in the morning, so it is one of those things you wake up to and you just want to scream out the window and say, you know, cut it out or whatever, but you are in their territory, so you just have to learn to live with it. But man, they are everywhere. I think I've heard them like the last 4 nights now and mornings, so it's been interesting listening to that first thing in the morning and sometimes to wake up to it. So tonight, already in April, it was pretty hot in here when I finally crawled in. It must have been about 80 degrees inside the cab. I mean, this thing really keeps the heat in. And I had the USB fans up here on my net blowing on me, but then decided to go ahead and stick them in my window, which I don't know if that's going to be a bad idea or not, because I don't have mosquito netting on the other side, so I can't film too long because the light will attract mosquitoes. But already in about 20 minutes it's brought it down from 80 to 70, just over 70 degrees, so man, that makes a world of difference. I also had that fan there blowing directly on my face. Yeah, come summer, this is gonna be quite a toasty place. So I'm laying just on top of my sleeping bag, and I always put on clothes at night because that way if I sweat into the clothes and I can wash those. And eventually I'm gonna have to get like a mattress pad to put on top of this sleeping bag, because that way I can wash that too when I sweat. And then my blanket, which I just washed the other day, is just gonna sit to the side until it gets a little chilly in here. Probably not until the early hours of the morning, but anyway, just thought I'd show that. And man, those USB fans are amazing, and I have another set that I can put in the other window when I want, but that's just hooked up to my power pack there, and that'll run all night on those it'll run all night on that pack with those 4 fans on high, so makes it a lot more enjoyable, that's for sure.